Welcome to the Big Brand Podcast, where we help you go from invisible to unforgettable. Hi, I'm Bhumi. I'm a brand designer. I work with founders to create strategic brand identity. Today, I'm talking to Jayshree, a brand strategist and identity designer for hospitality brands. So, hi, Jayshree. Thank you so much for being here today.
Hi, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad I could join.
Okay, so I want to start at the beginning. So, you spent time at Amazon working with brands like Nestle, Formula One, 20th Century Fox. So, what did that teach you about branding that you still use today?
It's the discipline and consistency that they care about so much. It's one of those big brands when they come back and say, hey, I think the shade of the color is still not right. The font that you have used, it's not working with our top fonts, and they re reshare the guidelines back to us, and it's like this is how we want it. So when big brands are so particular about it, you start to think that there's a reason behind it. They value their consistency so much because the consistency is how they build trust about their brand. So that's what I think that really taught me. Like Coca-Cola would never use any other shade of red than the one they have, and people may think that they don't remember the color so much, but if they see it, they do associate it with that particular color. So they are very particular. So when big brands are so particular about the small things that you think, as a layman, you think that that how could a shade matter so much, but they value it so much because they think that that's how they build trust and consistency. Well, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So, like, you've worked with both big brands and like small businesses. So, what would you say was like the difference working with them?
Um, I believe the difference was the opportunity to work with the founder directly, and that's a beautiful thing. As when I turned into an entrepreneur, I was able to directly speak to the founder, ask questions, really dig up into their vision and bring it to life. So I felt like my role, my purpose was a lot deeper when I was working directly with a founder than when I had a few middlemen in between, because Amazon is a big company. You tend to have middlemen in between who are communicating for the client, and the client themselves are not the founder. It's the marketing manager or like the head of design or somebody from that particular company. So when you cut off all the middlemen and you directly go into the vision of the business, and you're able to bring a solution that you think is best suited for that particular brand, you are able to create a much deeper impact. So I had the opportunity to do that for my clients.
Something that I personally experienced. So, when I was working in an advertising agency, I didn't get to directly speak to the clients. And because of that, if they had any revisions or anything, it would come through a lot of people. Even the approvals would go through a
Right.
lot of people. And there was like a
Yes.
huge communication gap. So,
Right.
that's something that I think you must have also experienced while working in Amazon then.
Yes, 100%. There were multiple revisions, and we would not understand why certain revisions were coming through. And sometimes it would feel like, oh, if I had known that this XYZ is a problem for them, I would have done it in the first place itself. So, what if we got a brief on a much more detailed level before we started designing? So, these were pain points that I have thought about, and they also accommodated. Thankfully, Amazon had systems in place to make the process more streamlined. They also wanted to reduce revision, and delivery needed to be a lot more smoother. And that's what convenience for the client as well, right? So what they did was like ensure detailed briefing from clients, and until the designer has all his or her questions answered, they will not start with the design process. So there would be back and forth of a lot of communication beforehand, before any design is started, and then they start the design process. That always helps in reducing the revisions altogether. So you set the expectations straight. Even as a small, as the junior most designer, I expect a lot of questions from that designer, because if we are expecting implementation from them without giving a proper brief, we're probably looking at a lot of screw ups, revisions.
Yeah.
That tends to happen. But if they ask a lot of questions, why this, why that, how could this be, which design style are we looking at, what feels better, why is this better, and that's what makes life easier for the junior designer, for the person who's giving the brief, for the client themselves. The communication has to be as elaborate as possible.
Yeah, I agree. That's true. I think another thing that I kind of experienced was when when I was not directly talking to the clients and it was going through like I was mostly treated like an executioner rather than like someone who can bring her own inputs. But now when I
Yes.
work with clients directly, like I'm perceived in a different manner. Like, okay, I have something
Yes.
to contribute. I think that's something that I've
Yeah.
kind
That's the
of
gift of entrepreneurship, I believe. And that's something that I always craved for myself when I was in the day job. To not be able to see the impact that things that I designed create, right? That was a little bit of a pain, like which makes you feel like this is like a daily slog where I'm just like, uh, mass producing content for my client, and we really don't know what the results are coming through. Maybe they know, maybe there was something that I created that actually brought in really good revenue through the ads or something like that, but that part of impact that I created, I do not know. So I think that's a gift. It's a gift in entrepreneurship. When we designers start to do things on our own, we start to see those impacts a lot more closely. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I would also add the ownership of your work. So you don't get like if you're working for an agency or something,
Yeah.
you create stuff and the agency will be recognized for it. It's not like, oh, you yourself
Right.
created, but here like you get your
Yeah.
own recognition for your own work.
Yeah, that's true. But I won't talk about the, and I know that majority of agencies have the system that you are talking about, but there are good
Yeah.
agencies that require a lot of collaboration. So logo, there is one designer who's a logo expert, one designer who's a packaging expert, one designer who's a, calligraphy expert, and when they all come together, they create this beautiful, amazing, let's say, whiskey label, something like that, right? And it had to, and one designer is really good at figuring out what print and emboss would look really good on what kind of paper and such, right? So it's when all of these people come together, it needs one unified unit, and that's ultimately the branding, the name of the agency, right? So it's while the name itself is an agency, a good agency would always give due credit to their team members. I have seen it a lot in, let's say, Studio Sorted, or even in Confetti Design Studio, where they openly share like these designers worked on this. This is the person who created the Behance, overall case study. This is the person who did the animation. This is the person who did the branding, logo design, and packaging design. So I think that sort of open appreciation really just puts the agency, sets them apart from the others. Because see, I remember the ones that credited the designers. I don't remember anyone that didn't credit, that constantly just like masks the whole thing. So why would you want to be known as this big agency, but you do not share about the people who are inside your agency? That just doesn't make sense, right? So I think a lot of due credit should be given, which actually just makes the brand, the agency itself seem more, I think, seem more approachable, and
Yeah.
a lot more, like an exciting place to work at for designers.
Before before like doing this full time, you work for Amazon. So like what made you like, leave Amazon and, start your own studio?
Okay, this is a little bit of a personal story, but like if you have seen Office, I think Michael says something like, "Business is the most personal thing ever," right?
Yeah.
So I came out of it. My business was born out of a very personal reason. My husband was traveling a lot until 2020, and and we were like newly married in 2019 February. I got married, and when he was traveling a lot, I was like, you know what, this is too much. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start freelancing. And when I used to be this sad wife who's just like roaming around in the office and just like looking sad because my husband is somewhere abroad, a friend of mine suggested, "Hey Jayshree, I heard that you're going to start freelancing soon. Why don't you learn from this particular channel?" And that channel was Chris Doe's The Future.
Okay.
The moment I started watching those videos, that was it. That those videos, the way I was learning about business, the way I was learning about talking to clients, how to respond to objections, how to present something to client, how to push back on revisions with a clear, way of making them understand everything. I was consuming it like an addict, and anyone who was coming across my screen would say, she's constantly watching a bald man teaching something. I don't understand what it is, but she's just like too invested in it. So that made me fueled my curiosity, and basically it just fueled my energy about starting on my own. And I was like, you know what, this is it, Varun, this is it, let's just get started. But my man is a very strong financial expert. I completely surrender to his expertise about that, and he said you need cushion money before you shift to your own business. And for that reason, he did not allow me to quit the job for 2 years from then. What happened during during this 2 year period? I started saving up money enough to have like a good 6 to 7 months runway. That was really important for actually 10-month runway. I aimed for a 10-month runway. I was more confident that I will bag a client before that, but I needed a 10-month runway. And between this, I got pregnant. I was on my maternity leave. During the maternity leave, I took up two projects. I did not care about the money I was making out of this project. I did not have a benchmark. I said I need projects that pay me. That was the thing. So I took up, my first project was 15,000 rupees. I took it. I delivered to my best ability. That client is still my client. And I'm very glad I worked with her. She's a client actually I doubled revenue for first time. That was one of my major impacts that I have created for in my business. And then after that, I took up a few others. And so I proved to my clients, see, during maternity leave itself, I have gotten two clients. I think it's go time. And the day I returned from my maternity leave to my job, I said, by the way, where is the portal to resign? And my manager was like, you returned just today. I was like, exactly, I think I'm done. And it was not surprising to them as much when I said that, because they all saw in the back end that this is what I was planning. And it was not like there was grudge or any sort of negative thought process about it. They understood that I love my lifestyle in a certain way. I wanted to be present with my child. I wanted to work at hours that were more suitable for me, and spend more time with my family. So my entire team was very aware as well as very encouraging to my endeavors. So when I would start posting content about like, this is how you do branding, these are my branding showcases, they would all like, Jayshree, go. And they were very encouraging. So I had a really good team, and the only thing that pains me when I was parting them is that I don't get to spend time with them anymore because like our lifestyle has like they are in their corporate life and I'm in my very different entrepreneurial life. But they were very encouraging. So that's pretty much how my journey started, and I have been running my business for 4 years now, as old as my daughter.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're like used to kind of working in a very collaborative environment in Amazon. So like, is there something that you miss now?
I did for the first 2.5 years. I missed it a lot, and business thankfully started expanding where I started hiring designers. And once I started doing that, I also got to be hands-on with the project at the same time, work with somebody who was able to bring in new, fresh perspective. Like I didn't want to in my entire business altogether, I didn't want to deliver clients the same sort of aesthetic that I was used to. I needed to push out of my horizon, and if I can't do it from my own learning immediately, like because of like the client inflow is not predictable, right? So I wanted it to be through designers who are better than me. So once I started working with other designers, I started getting friends again. I was able to have that collaborative process again. So thankfully it's now a lot more beautiful. For the past 1 year, I have been hiring for projects. Yes.
Wow, that's awesome. So like you
Yeah.
specialize in restaurant and cafe branding. So what made you like focus
Yeah.
specifically on that niche?
Uh, it's a very cliche thing to say, like the graphic designer is always judging the menu card of the restaurant. I think my journey started a little bit like that, where I'm observing the menu, but it was not just the menu. I noticed it was the interiors, it was the colors that they had used in the interior design, and what kind of posters are they putting up, and what kind of cutlery they are using. What about like the tissue box that they have? What about the tray with the lining paper that they have put up? Everything had some sort of branding, and the more you see a lot more detailed brands, let's say you go to Burger King or even McDonald's, they are very detailed about their branding, their packaging, and I noticed that there were multiple touch points, and a lot of designers, lot of restaurants were not cracking it. They did not think that they needed to be consistent in all of these touch points. Okay, and when one restaurant was consistent across all touch points, they were also able to charge a premium price. So this is a market gap that I noticed as a designer, and I thought that this is something that a lot of restaurants need help with. So I that's pretty much how I thought this is a good space to be in. It allows them to make a lot more money, and as a result of it, I also make a lot of money because see, I'm pretty straightforward about money. I don't want to go into design for like that mental satisfaction alone. Yes, I definitely need it. I work with really amazing clients who are surrendering to the process, who believe in my design capabilities and trust the process. But more than that, it needs to make them a lot of money, and that is the result I want them to have, so that I can also confidently charge them a good price. So that was the those were the reasons I shifted to this niche.
Like I like the point that you raised about the lack of consistency because I've
Mm-hmm.
personally seen brands where they have one logo outside, and if you enter the restaurant, it's like another logo inside, but like a different variation of it or
Exactly.
something.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
definitely a market gap is there.
Yeah, yeah. I think most restaurant owners make the mistake of putting in 90% of their effort into the food itself.
Hmm.
And like let's say the 10% goes into marketing, but that even in that marketing, what people tend to realize is that it's not the same. What they sell, what they present themselves as, it's not matching up. So then I think there's a significant amount of attention that needs to be paid about the branding of the place. Okay, how do you brand yourself? How do you want to present yourself? How do you want the customer to see you? Are you this quick grab sort of a food place, or are you the fine dine restaurant that you claim to be, right? So,
Hmm.
and if you are the fine dine restaurant, what are the aspects of your physical space that needs to match up with that sort of a level of name that you're trying to gain? Positioning,
Hmm.
right? So that's what they need help with.
I think people like when they go for fine dining restaurants, they even come with expectations that it should be there. Like it's just expected. Like you mentioned, like a good interior, good menu, everything it should be there. So they feel like they're spending the money well. So they just find
Yeah,
it worth it.
yeah. And the misconception among restaurant owners are that if I ensure that I have a beautiful interior, I have all the cutlery looks really nice, I'm done. What about your menu design? What about the details of how your staff speaks to your customer? Are they just
Mm.
like blankly staring at your customer, waiting for them to just order anything that they like, or are they recommending something to the customer? These
Mm.
are very tiny details that sets apart a fine dining experience altogether. A lot
Mm.
of places call themselves fine dining, but are you really creating an experience for this customer? That's what
Mm.
sets them apart.
Honestly, like I had in Marathalli only where I live, there's this place called I Helen's Place or something. I had been there. It's like
Mm-hmm.
a Portuguese themed restaurant, and they had like
Okay.
really good food and live music and everything. But one thing that kind of for me ruined the experience, and even for my friend, was they had like digital menus, and even
Mm.
then, like the place we were sitting had no network connection, so neither of us could actually, and it requires sign in. So we need internet
Oh,
just to
okay.
sign in to see the menu.
Okay.
And Since there
Right.
was no network connection, we had to like
Yeah.
ask the waiter multiple times, like, oh, we're not able to sign in, not able to see the menu. And even then, when the waiter
Right.
came and tried to place the order for us, even she had trouble signing in. So we had
Right.
like go through a lot, and we were both like hungry. We were like, okay, we went late at night, and we're like both hungry. I think so for us, we didn't want to like sit around waiting just to order food, just to see a menu.
Right.
So
Right.
even so, it didn't matter that they had such beautiful live singers and very like
Right.
candles on tables. But for me, it
Yeah.
ruined the experience because I wanted to eat.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I see a lot of debate around in the internet where people are asking, can good interiors and like good service save average food? I think in the entirety of Bangalore, at least, Bangalore is one of the biggest innovators of restaurant business, I believe. Okay, I have not seen innovation like Alien Kind or Fur. These are places that I'm really stunned by. Fur is one of the biggest fine dining restaurant which is openly claiming that we are vegetarian, and it's fully packed all the time. The reservations are done months prior, right? And those there was a generation, there was a time where people were made fun of like for vegetarian food, but these people innovated vegetarian food in such a way that it became fine dining. It became like a huge luxury in itself, right? So that's the beautiful market design that they have created. The point I was trying to say is that Bangalore is one of the biggest
Yeah,
innovators,
Bangalore. Yeah.
um, and now people are starting to understand that just food alone, food has to be good.
Mhm.
Food
Yeah.
being good is one of the most basic things. It's like when you go to the doctor, they make sure that you stay alive. Like that's the basic thing that they are
Yeah.
supposed to do, right? How, that's another story, right? But they need to make sure that you get healthy. So that's the basic thing. The same thing with restaurants also. They need to make sure that the food is good. That every restaurant has to do. And beyond that, what are you doing is the question. If a city full of restaurants that are full of innovators, if all of them have great food, what are you doing beyond food to make sure that you create that top notch experience, to stay in top of the mind of your customer, to make sure that they are loyal to you, to make sure that they come back with more people, to make sure that they recommend you to other people. So those are the kind of things you start thinking about. Get the best chefs, yes, 100%. Do not compromise on food. What more?
Hmm.
Because Bangalore is craving that experience.
Yeah.
If we were in a place where there's not a lot of restaurants, the restaurant scene is not, it's very new in a tier 2 city or a tier 3, like a suburban area, then maybe you having good food is good enough, right? But when you're competing in a cutthroat city experience, and that does not have to be just Bangalore, New York, London, and there is a lot of places. These are peak places where people are still innovating and opening restaurants all the time, right? And they need to innovate beyond food. That's what I was getting at.
Also, like Bangalore restaurants are like starting their own niche. Like I've seen vegan restaurants, women-only bars,
Yeah.
theme cafes. So, what do you think is like the driving factor, like for that shift?
The exact thing that I just told you about, like the people are craving experiences. People have seen good food, people have eaten good food. What more? Why should I come to your physical space when I can order it? Like post 2020, they said that restaurants would die, right?
Yeah.
But they did come back, and they came back stronger. Why was that? Because restaurants started focusing on experience. They said, we will give you more than just food. We will give you Instagrammable place where you can talk about this beautiful evening that you had. We will give you a fun evening with your friends and family so that you can play games in this restaurant. Okay, so they started innovating in those areas, and they became a place where experience became a focus, and food happened to be one of the central focus points. Yeah. So once the ones that focus on those experience that they are creating, and one of the bigger things is it's wonderful that they are innovating, Now they have captured market. Like, of course, you cannot, when a restaurant owner is asked, this is new founder mistake, right? When a restaurant owner is asked, what kind of clients or customers do you want to walk in? And they say, all kinds. I want from anyone from 18 to 20, 18 to 60 should walk in. That's a mistake. But these restaurants that you said that have niched down, they said, we want vegan people, we want for people who are focused on health. The women only bars, they said, we want only women who are in their somewhere between their 20s to 35. Those are the kind of crowds that we want to attract. Once they niche down, they realize they have captured their market big time. The market is bigger than the target that you set. That's a standard everywhere. Okay, so they get more of the kind of people that they want to attract, and these people who come through, they recommend it to more people. So these restaurants are packed without having to, cater to everybody out there. They cater to one specific audience, and that audience love it. They feel attended to, they feel like they are seen. This is their community zone, right? So when they feel like that, they recommend the place more. You increase loyalty, you get more repeat customers. That's the kind of power it has when you niche down.
So I wanted to know about Lunar Park. Like, how was that such a significant project for you?
Okay, so Luna Park is one of the branding projects that I completed in 2026. I still have marketing association with that particular brand. Originally, Luna Park was called Lunar Lounge, which was a parking lounge where people could, drive into their cars. There was one, big container sort of kitchen. Have you seen those trucks that were turned into kitchen? Those
Yeah.
container trucks that are turned into kitchen. They had one kitchen like that, and from there people could order whatever they want, and they could chill inside their car, they could relax, and they could have their food. The business owner had a issue that Jayshree, customers are not walking in. Even on weekends, we are having we're not getting enough footfall. What should we do? So I went back to research about this whole model altogether, and it turns out the idea of coming into a parking zone and eating within your car is no longer appealing to people. Like, if it is a matter of relaxation and privacy, people could eat from their home. They are not doing that anymore, right? They don't want their cars to smell bad anymore, like smell like food anymore, right? So because this sort of concept is not appealing to customer anymore, there's not a lot of walk-ins happening, right? So it was amazing when it was 1920s, when cars were new. People wanted to show off their cars. They wanted to spend more time within their cars, and they wanted to see other people's car and see, like, it was like a luxurious movement for them. Like, see, I have a car, and you have something like that. But it's no longer that. And especially in a place like Birmingham, London, in UK, everyone has a car. So it wasn't a moment of show off anymore. So what I suggested to him is that instead of one kiosk, let's start to have more kiosks. I asked him to set up 8 to 10 kiosks, and each of them should serve a different cuisine. So we came up with one that was Mangal, which was Turkish grill place. There was Chai Green, which was an Indian chaat place. There was Dirty Slice, which served pizzas. There was many other brands. Like, there was a dessert shop. There was burgers, American food altogether, chicken wings, and there was another place which had, Holy Grill. He brought in 8 vendors, and 8 kiosks were set up, all of them looking unique with their own brand identity. I think I designed for 5 of those small kiosks. I did branding for 5 of those small kiosks out of 8. And it was like a really risky project, because here I am far away, I'm giving him this idea, and he fully ran with it. And once they opened, within 1 month of opening, the revenue shot up by 400%. Because one other change that I gave him is that instead of just parking, I want you to encourage walk-ins. Okay, so there were enough cars that were coming in, but there was not enough space to bring in all the cars. So people started parking outside the space and started walking into the place, and this place became sort of like a Netflix of food. So any community, any group of people who wanted to come in, they could have picked any vendor, right? There is a friend group where one eats vegetarian, one is non-vegetarian, one doesn't take sugar, one wants something really sweet, and everything was available in one common place. So that's what we made the place to be. So there is no thought process like where should we go? Or we could just go to Luna Park. Everything is available there. We could pick any cuisine that we want. Okay, and we still maintain this. Even if we are shifting to a different vendor or something, we make sure that there is no competition between all vendors. So no two vendors is selling the same thing. Okay, so the variety remains thriving all the time. One other thing is that if we bring one Turkish food into from one kiosk and one Indian brand or anything, it creates a sense of community among people. Like the Indian people who are going there, they meet other Indian people, so it brings a sense of community, and people are talking about that place, and ultimately this place ended up creating an experience for them, and that's how the brand blew up. So yeah, this is one of my biggest achievements, and I feel very proud, and the brand is thriving right now. They are doing really well. It's one of the top premium uh, food court in UK right now, in Birmingham, UK right now. Yeah,
Wow, that sounds amazing.
thank you, thank you.
So like this was such a good experience for you to work with them, and of course it was such a profitable project. Like I wanted to like, if there's, are there any projects that like you have like turned down or like said no to?
Uh, I typically try not to work with inexperienced entrepreneurs, like people who are in their first venture of entrepreneurship, who have been in corporate jobs and now starting to venture into entrepreneur. No hate to them. I just believe that they come from a place where they have bootstrapped most of the things, and they don't see, and it is very hard to show them how branding can really impact sales. They are very focused on sales, right? Branding is about positioning. A seasoned restaurant owner would care a lot more about their positioning as a business, and how they want to be seen in front of their customers, and they see value in it. But an inexperienced person who's coming in bootstrapped, and it's great for them, I actively tell them, do this without me, do this without any brand designer. Start with your Canva logo and bootstrap everything, and see what happens. And once there is complaint that your menu is not readable, I don't feel like your brand looks trustworthy, your place looks like looks like this, but your pricing is completely different, when you see pushbacks and feedback, that's when you have to seek a brand identity, or like a brand strategist who could position you in a different way. Until they get feedback, they will not know what they are doing wrong, and that is why I don't work with inexperienced entrepreneurs.
That's true. Like, so if they are starting out, like you said, they're bootstrapped. So, what advice would you like give them? Like, if you're turning down the project, and if they're like handling on their own or something, so what advice would you have for them?
I basically ask them that if it is about a logo, have a clean logo that is readable from farthest, and fits in the smallest spaces. They ultimately come for a logo only. They think that we are logo designers, and that's what they come for. Like, and stick to 2-3 colors. This is a standard thing that I say to all business owners. If it is about having a clear, consistent identity, have a logo that will work in all spaces. Think about where this logo will be used 3 years from now, 5 years from now. You're not going to stick to one specific space. Thankfully, in restaurant businesses, there are not a lot of inexperienced business owners. In other industries, let's say somebody is starting like an apparel brand, or like they are starting their own lifestyle brand, they are a yoga teacher. Those are the people who are more inexperienced, but the restaurant owners are pretty much very experienced, and it is like a family handed down business. Like father used to have a business, and now the son is taking over. Those are the sort of things I've seen in restaurant businesses. So if I give advice, it is usually to the other business owners. It's never a restaurant owner who's getting these sort of advice from me. I ask them to, do it on their own, have a clean logo, pay a designer to get a clean logo that is trademarkable, and, have a consistent run with it. And for 2-3 years, see how, make that revenue, make a good revenue that you're very satisfied about. And at that point, also collect enough feedback. If the feedback is negative in any way and you want to fix it, come back to a brand strategist. They can fix it for you.
Because data is everything. Yeah.
Yes. How will we solve problems if we didn't know what is going wrong? Yeah.
Exactly. So you worked with a Coorg-based cafe, and you suggested that they go for a vintage theme cafe because there was a market
Yeah.
gap that you found. So
Yeah.
like, how do you like spot opportunities like that for your clients?
Competitor analysis. I do a deep competitor analysis thanks to Google. I get to see all other brands, cafes that were present in the place. I did a detailed study on them. What are they selling? How do they present themselves on Instagram, in their physical spaces, their ratings, their reviews. How are customers, like, how are they recommended, for what reasons are they recommended by other people, right? So I do a deep analysis, and I found out that in Coorg altogether there was no theme based cafes. Like, there are a lot of cafes in Bangalore for sure. They're like book themed cafe, like a cafe full of books. There is like pet themed cafe. One is
Yeah.
about pottery, and there are so many such beautiful experience associated cafes in Bangalore. I think there was a need of one in Coorg, definitely, because it's such a beautiful, a vacation spot, right? And there, if we create this additional experience based cafe, it'll be like a evening that all the young people go to and they spend time there. It's very Instagrammable. So I felt that market gap was there. That's how I landed on this solution. And the client was very happy to know that, we could create something unique like this, and they ran with it.
So they were very open to like going in that direction.
Yeah, they were. They once I was able to showcase to them that no other competitor is doing it. There is a need for it. Those from Bangalore are the major. The major crowd is from Bangalore. The IT crowd who's looking for the weekend getaway. They want to come to Coorg, and there they are looking for this really hip place because they want to take pictures. They were like, "Look how amazing my vacation was. Look how amazing my Saturday Sunday was." Right? That's what they crave to do, right? And if we could be the spot where they are showcasing, and what happened was, like, luckily their location was near Talakaveri, which is like the beginning of Kaveri River. Okay, so it's like a good view spot for, like, Coorg. Like, what are the highlights of Coorg? They say that Talakaveri is one of them, right? So in the close to that location, the cafe was there. When you enter that area, before you do, the cafe is already there. So it's like you don't there is not miss of anyone there. Like, tourists will definitely go through that road, and they'll definitely not miss the location. So the location is a very important part of a restaurant business. You have to ensure that you're placed in a very good spot, some place that people will notice immediately, an easy to commute place. You have to ensure that it's all sorted out, and thankfully this place was that, and we were able to crack it.
So have you ever like suggested something to a client which is going to help their business, but you kind of like face some resistance from them?
I go with data. I go with data. I show them, see, if you do this, yes, it will be beneficial. Not doing this has these repercussions, and that sort of, when I show the negatives of not proceeding forward, they immediately understand that. I have had pushbacks with a lot of things. Like, there was this one client, Juice Planet, which you happened to see. I did not like the name. I told the client, listen, I do not like the name. It is too generic. It's not something that's gonna work out. And he said, Jayshree, but the name is available in UK. I already was able to trademark it. It's not something you said. And I told him, look at the dozen. Like, look at the amount of people that are using Juice Planet on Instagram. The user ID, there are so many. Like, you'll be missed. And he said, no, but this is the name I'm going for, and I got a pushback for it. But I had to make it a project that I love something that I enjoy. So we went with aesthetic. We went with an aesthetic that was more on the Minecraft arcade sort of design
Yeah.
style. So Juice Planet, because people would have gone for like planetary, galactic sort of
Mhm.
view when it comes to brand identity. I wanted to take a slight shift. I wanted it to be slightly futuristic, yet create a sense of nostalgia for people. So that's why I went with pixel art altogether for that particular project, and it blew up. The visual aesthetic made people extremely curious, and the brand got a really good had a really good launch day.
That's awesome. So like, what's your process like if a client comes to you and they're like, I need a rebrand? So like, what do you say to them?
I don't accept immediately. I ask them a bunch of questions that honestly makes them rethink, do I really need a rebrand? So yeah, I want to make sure that it's not coming from a place of my logo is not looking good. It has to come from a place of, my business is not doing as well as it did in my father's generation. My During my dad's time, it was loved and it was beautiful. And then we have lost trust. We had a few incidents in the kitchen where food was not up to the mark, and people are now leaving negative reviews. We want to change how we are seen. These are real reasons. These are very strong reasons for a rebrand. Okay, when you rebrand, you come across as a new place. You openly admit that we were this and we have changed. We have changed not just our face but our practices as well. So when you showcase that to people, they again become curious. And when you change the face as well, right, they start to believe that okay, it's not the same place it used to be, right? You start to change a whole lot of things. The reason you It's like a makeover that you give to people person who has also changed their personality, you know. For example, there used to be a drunk man who had scrubby face, who had beard that was not trimmed properly, scruffy hair, shirt was dirty, trousers were torn. That one, now he has stopped drinking. How do I know? I still don't trust him. And then he
Yeah.
cleans up, and he puts on a nice shirt, and he wears the proper formal trousers. Then it seems like if these two are not working together, the look as well as the result, if they are not aligned, then the the fa- the downfall will happen eventually. Okay, let's say the business did not change anything about themselves, just the face, and people come back and they still find shitty service. They still
Mhm.
find food that is not up to the quality. The downfall will still happen. The money will not come. But if you're changing something inside the kitchen, definitely the additional this facelift will help. That's what I think branding does for a business.
Yeah. Because branding can't save a bad product or a bad service. So that
No,
has to be
no,
there.
never. Yeah, I think that's the video that you put up once that made me very curious. Like you openly admitted in one of your videos that your shitty product cannot be saved by good branding, something like that. Yeah, so I love that. Yes, which is true. I don't think enough designers talk about it because they are very hungry for job. They are very hungry for clients. So they don't openly share that with clients that, your product needs to be better. And I love designers who say that, hey, you don't have USP just yet. You need to have one. And the Kurg cafe that I worked with, they did not have a USP. So we created one. That's what a brand strategist is supposed to do. Their vintage theme was going to be their USP. The croissants that they are selling, the muffins, and the food, that's available everywhere. Okay, maybe some other bakery is probably doing it much better than them and at a much cheaper price than them. But if we
Mhm.
create a whole experience altogether, the pricing will not feel like it's unjustified. It will feel like everything is okay. It makes sense, right?
Yeah,
When
agreed.
somebody walks in, yeah.
So, if there's a designer listening to this right now and they want to enter specifically this niche, the hospitality branding niche, so what advice would you give to them?
You cannot complete a project under a month. You cannot you cannot wash your hands off a project that easily. None of my restaurant projects have lasted under a month. I have to be hands on. they are building with me. I'm actually, in that journey with them, where they're packaging material, we are looking at it, what kind of stickers, what kind of paper bags we are going for, what kind of coffee cup sleeve, what kind of cutlery are we doing, what kind of uniform for the staff, everything. It cannot be done under a month. People have to be very patient, charge accordingly, and be ready to serve as diligently as possible for this client. You may, and I'm very happy about this equation that I have. I don't have many clients. I have 3 4 clients at altogether at once. Like in a year, I think I work with 5 6 clients maximum, and that's more than enough for me. But I create good results for them. That's what matters. If I'm able to change their business to a successful one, like with just 5 6 clients, if I'm able to do that, I'm happy. I don't intend to collect a lot of logos of clients in my portfolio. That's not something I look forward to. I look forward to creating concrete results for them. So that's pretty much it.
I think that's something a
Patience
lot
with
of
clients.
designers kind of go wrong with. They kind of value volume over like the
Yeah,
quality or that. Because they're like,
yeah.
okay, to show that we are experienced, we need to show a whole bunch of projects that we've done in our portfolio.
And this is very interesting because there was one business mentor, whom I had a conversation with, and she said, Jayshree, just do the small projects, no, just do the bread and butter projects, just give them what they're asking for. And I said, no, I could not bring myself to do it. I think this is one of my weaknesses, that I could not bring myself to do projects where I just say yes, ma'am, and deliver what they're asking for, because I know that's not going to create real results for my clients. Why would I put them through that? I don't think my clients should even pull out 10 rupees out of their pocket if they are not getting value of 11 or 12 from me.
Hmm.
That's a simple equation I have. If I'm charging you something, you better get better results at it. And I know what sort of actions from my end will create that results for you. And if you opposite, if you say, no, Jayshree, just give me what I'm asking for, well, it's not going to create results. If I have already agreed and taken up the project, sure, I'll hand over whatever you are asking for. But I will not take up projects just for the sake of, it's easy money.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think I've even seen people like approach designers and they already have like they just want someone to execute. So they're like, we already have this colors you want to go with, this is what you want to go with, and they just want someone to
Yeah.
like execute it. So those are the
Yeah.
projects that you should definitely not go for.
Avoid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked them
Uh,
straight up, like, yeah, I asked them straight up, like, why do we need a brand strategist to do this?
hmm.
Do you think ChatGPT is able to cover a lot of these things? And I asked them from a place of curiosity, not out of insult. And it's like, this is easier for you. You could spend like a half day with ChatGPT, given all your colors and think, why are you looking for a brand strategist? And then they start digging up about, like, why they would not go for ChatGPT. They start selling that idea to you. It's very strange. It's like the anti-psychology thing that you do. You ask them, why just not take the easy road? And like, no, but it will constantly give me what I am asking, but I don't know if it's right for my business. Well, in that case, you should probably should not be married to the colors and the fonts as well. And they're like, oh, okay. That's like a light bulb moment you get to see. It's wonderful. I love doing that to my prospects.
So before we wrap up, one last question. So where can people find you if they want to reach out and check out your work?
They can just Google J Design Studio, and they can find a bunch of links about me. I'm very active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. YouTube is my main channel where I share both long form and short form content. I should make a lot more long form content. I'm lagging behind. I'm a little bit lazy, but that's my main content place, and I'm active on LinkedIn and Instagram as well.
Okay, so I'll be attaching the links for both, for all three platforms in the description.
Thank you so much. It was
Oh, thank you so
lovely
much for.
talking to you guys. I had such a good time. Like, you took me down the memory lane from the time I began this, and just like walk me through all the experiences I've had. I had such a lovely experience. I hope your audience gets to learn a few things from this conversation. I had such a good time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today. I mean, I really appreciate you giving me the time to have this conversation with you, and it was very insightful for me as well, and hopefully for the viewers too. So, yeah.
I'm so glad. I hope the podcast does really, really well. It reaches a lot more people. And I hope you interview a lot more designers as well. I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing more content from you.
Yeah, I mean, I think the last time I talked to you, were like a lot of designers are kind of like scared to be on the camera and they're a bit introverted. So whenever I do like reach out to a lot of the times, designers do tell me, and I'm kind of scared to be on camera. I don't think I can, I'm not comfortable. So I've actually seen that, but I get it. I get it.
Oh, if this helps, I want to add one last thing before I go. Because I showed up on camera, YouTube was my biggest client acquisition platform. I'll tell you this much. I've just been posting content. I show up as myself. I show my work. I show my process. And that's how I have acquired clients. One of my first high ticket clients came from a video where I had my daughter in my lap and I was working on my laptop and I was sharing how I'm very adamant about being an entrepreneur. Even though people were saying that you just became a mother, you need to take rest, you need to relax, just take a stable job, this is too risky. But I wanted to do this. I made a video about it and that got like about 10,000 plus views or something. That's how I got my first client. And that client never even saw my a detailed portfolio of mine. They said, I saw this video, I knew you were the right person for me, and I came through. So if anyone is watching this video who's feeling shy about coming on camera, I promise you it does more good than harm. Please do show up. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. I think it can also be a bit intimidating to, feel like you're entering at this space. So I think that's something people should not like overthink about. I mean, I'm also an introvert, so it was like huge for me also to even start making short videos and then long videos and even like
Yeah.
podcast now. So I understand how
Yeah.
intimidating it can be and how uncomfortable it
Yeah.
can be. But honestly, it's just in
Yeah.
the beginning when you start, but after a
Yeah.
while, you get
Yeah.
gradually comfortable with it.
Yeah. You get used to it and you start enjoying it and you start feeling like, oh God, I'm not doing this anymore. Why am I not doing this anymore? I should do more of it. That's the transition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's something even I've experienced. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm looking forward to seeing more of you though.
It's definitely sure. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's episode 3 of the Big Brand podcast. If you want to see more of these conversations, make sure you follow along. I'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.